As Ronan dashed through town, his eyes caught sight of a group of individuals tormenting a young boy. What perplexed him was the manner in which they suspended the boy from a tree, defying gravity without physical contact. It dawned on him that the boy was ensnared by a spell, held aloft by magic. Such a sight was incredulous to Ronan, for wielders of magic seldom ventured onto the battlefield, yet here was one amidst the village fray. In that instant, it dawned on him that a specific sorcerer had traversed through time to this era. The individual employing magic against the boy seemed to harbor remorse for their actions. The bullied boy, in a heartfelt plea, confessed his lack of funds, explaining that the money he possessed was earmarked for his mother's crucial medication. Disregarding the boy's plea about his mother's health, the bully callously continued his assault, demanding more money with slaps and shouts. Then, summoning the magician named Asel, the bully ordered him to hoist the boy higher up the tree. Asel, cautious of the danger, hesitated, explaining that a misstep could result in the boy's fatal fall. Threatening Asel with placement on the tree if he dared to defy him, the bully instilled fear in Asel's heart. Confused and terrified by the situation, Asel questioned why such a fate had befallen him. He had pursued the study of magic to demonstrate his skills and worth, not to face such peril. Overwhelmed with fear and uncertainty, Asel found himself paralyzed by indecision. As he grappled with his options, Ronan intervened, striking Asel with his wooden stick. In an instant, Ronan's blow landed, causing Asel to lose his grip and the boy to plummet to the ground. Ronan urgently urged him to cease, warning of the potential fatal consequences. Enraged by Asel's cessation, the bully demanded an explanation for the apparent disrespect. Asel began to respond, but Ronan interjected, questioning Asel about the source of his telekinetic abilities. Asel disclosed that he had acquired his skills from a grimoire purchased from a traveling vendor. Ronan expressed astonishment, unable to fathom how Asel had attained such proficiency from a modest source. Ignoring the bully's escalating frustration, they continued their conversation. However, the bully, feeling neglected, drew his sword and charged toward Ronan, intent on attack. Ronan pondered where a lad like him could procure a genuine sword, feeling disheartened by the bully's reckless charge, evident in his sloppy stance. With ease, Ronan sidestepped the attack, disappointing but not surprising him. Ronan attributed his calm reaction to the battle instincts ingrained in him from his time as a soldier, an aspect of himself that remained steadfast even upon returning to the past. As the tension thickened, Hans exerted more force with his shoulder. "If you die, your sister will think I'm cute when I take care of her, just imagining touching her round butt." Feeling a sudden unease, Hans shifted his gaze. His sliced ear now lay at his feet. Abruptly, searing pain shot through Hans's ear. Clutching the spot where his ear once was, he dropped his sword. With a menacing tone, Ronan warned against mentioning his sister's name again. Witnessing this unexpected display of violence, the other bullies were stunned. Despite using a mere wooden stick like theirs, Ronan had demonstrated his capability to inflict harm. Commanding them to return the stolen money and compensate for his disturbed state, Ronan asserted his authority. Once the money was gathered, Ronan handed it over to the boy, who expressed surprise at receiving more than what was stolen. Ronan reassured him that he only desired the sword, showing no interest in the money. As the boy expressed gratitude for Ronan's intervention, Asel regained his composure and offered a sincere apology to the boy for his involvement in the ordeal. Expressing his fear of the bully, Asel confessed that he felt compelled to comply with the bully's demands. The boy reassured Asel, understanding the pressure he faced. After expressing gratitude to Ronan, the boy departed. Ronan, relieved to learn that Asel wasn't inherently malicious, proposed a plan to him. He instructed Asel to meet him in 3 days' time, eager to share his intentions. Warning Asel not to flee, Ronan threatened consequences if he attempted to evade him. With this caution issued, Ronan hurried home. He gathered some flowers for his sister, knowing her fondness for them. Eventually, he arrived at the small house located on the outskirts of the village. Ivy vines covered the exterior wall, creating a picturesque scene. Unconsciously, Ronan took a deep breath, feeling a tension unlike any he had experienced before. Behind this door awaited Iril, his sister, whom he hadn't seen since he left home at 17, and who had perished during the giants' invasion. Ronan reached out to grab the doorknob. It should have been a simple task, but it felt more complicated than it seemed. Suddenly, the bouquet of flowers in his left hand caught Ronan's eye. 10 yellow and white primroses were beautifully arranged, the very flowers that Iril loved. He felt a pang of self-consciousness. He wasn't a blushing young man confessing his love. As Ronan contemplated turning around to discard the primroses, the door swung open, revealing a woman, a remarkable beauty in the transition from a young girl to a young lady. Ronan found himself frozen in place, captivated by her radiant smile. Memories flooded his mind. As a soldier, he often pondered what he would say to her if they were reunited. Should he apologize for leaving her behind? Express how much he missed her? In the moment, all Ronan could manage was a smile as he laid eyes on her once again. Upon entering the house, Ronan found his elder sister Iril admiring the flowers he had brought her. In gratitude, she had prepared a lavish meal for him. After indulging in the food, Ronan inquired about Iril's age that year. She replied that she was 22 years old. Ronan's spirits lifted upon hearing this, as it meant he had a decade to prepare for the impending battle against the mysterious creatures. Iril was taken aback by Ronan's sudden inquiry about her age. She sighed with concern, alternating between touching her own forehead and Ronan's. Ronan shared his desire to attend an academy with Iril. Delighted by his decision, Iril questioned if he was joking, as she had always wished for him to pursue such opportunities, despite his previous reluctance. Ronan affirmed his seriousness about attending the academy. Upon hearing this, Iril hastily rummaged through the house and retrieved a sizable pot. Peering inside, Ronan was astonished to find it brimming with money. Puzzled, he inquired about the source of such a large sum. Iril revealed that she had been secretly saving money over time, intending to use it to support Ronan's education at the academy. Her selfless act left Ronan deeply moved and grateful for her sacrifice. Expressing his gratitude, Ronan thanked Iril for her unwavering support. However, he gently informed her that the sum she had amassed might not suffice for enrollment in the academy he aspired to attend. Curious, Iril inquired about his preferred institution, to which Ronan replied, Philion Academy. Iril's reaction was one of shock and disbelief, evident in her startled exclamation. The Philion Imperial Academy stands at the pinnacle of educational excellence within the Empire. Renowned as the foremost institute of learning, it proudly hosts a faculty comprised of the most distinguished educators across the continent. Bolstered by substantial funding from the imperial family, the academy delivers unparalleled educational experiences, setting the standard for top-tier instruction. Such is the illustrious stature of the academy that it has earned the colloquial moniker of a hero factory. Its halls have nurtured legendary figures like the Grand Marshal Adeshan, the esteemed Schlieffen the Swordmaster, and even adversaries such as the infamous Winter Witch. The warriors of Philion undoubtedly made significant contributions to the war effort. Ronan grasped the significance of Grand Marshal Adeshan's words immediately. However, he couldn't shake the realization that gaining admission to the academy required meeting exceptionally high entrance standards and affording exorbitant tuition fees. As he wandered through the forest, Ronan mulled over this dilemma. Recalling their earlier conversation, Ronan was taken aback by his sister's unexpected reaction. Iril's smile and words of encouragement lifted Ronan's spirits as she assured him he could gain admission to Philion Academy. With a newfound determination shining in his eyes, Ronan halted his steps. He made a solemn vow to himself. He would prove his worth by securing a place at the prestigious academy. With his arms crossed, Ronan glanced ahead and spotted someone standing beside a tree. He hadn't anticipated Asel's presence. Asel, visibly anxious, clenched his fists and edged away from the tree. Worried about the consequences of his absence, Asel hesitated. However, Ronan intervened, offering a reassuring smile to the boy. He advised Asel not to dwell on the past. Ronan, burdened with a backpack, effortlessly slipped it off his shoulders. He remarked that they had a busy night ahead and expressed his need to assess Asel's abilities. Asel's face betrayed his confusion as he inquired about the nature of the test. Pointing to himself with his thumb, Ronan proposed that Asel employ his telekinetic powers on him. With an intense gaze fixed on Asel, Ronan prompted him to lift him as high as possible using his telekinetic abilities. Asel's expression shifted to one of surprise, clearly puzzled by Ronan's request. He questioned the reasoning behind Ronan's desire for him to use telekinesis on him. Asel expressed concern, arguing that using telekinesis on Ronan seemed risky. Dismissing Asel's worries, Ronan asserted that it wasn't dangerous and insisted that Asel comply with his instructions for the time being. He reassured Asel that he wouldn't come to any harm, emphasizing that he couldn't be killed. Asel emitted a groan as he raised his hands, preparing to utilize his telekinetic abilities. A faint light blue aura enveloped his hands as he extended them towards Ronan. With a determined push, Asel directed his invisible force towards Ronan. The invisible hands effortlessly lifted Ronan from the ground, prompting surprise from him as he realized the extent of Asel's magical prowess. Rising 100 feet above, Ronan sensed the stability of Asel's magic wasn't quite sufficient yet. Nevertheless, it reminded him of previous encounters with giants, where mages employed telekinetic spells, enabling him to engage in aerial combat. Recalling those moments, Ronan realized that this was exactly what he had hoped for. Peering down at Asel, Ronan smiled, aware of the scarcity of mages and the rarity of telekinetic abilities, even among their ranks. This realization underscored Asel's importance as a key player in Ronan's upcoming battle against the giants. Grinning, Ronan applauded Asel, acknowledging that they were off to a good start. However, Asel closed his eyes and expressed to Ronan that utilizing his magic was draining his energy. He politely asked if Ronan could lower him to the ground. Ronan smiled as he unsheathed his sword and inquired if Asel could hold on a little longer, expressing his desire to check one more thing before descending on his own. Upon hearing this, Asel opened his eyes and flinched, a hint of apprehension crossing his features. With his sword tightly gripped, Ronan slashed at Asel's invisible hands. Asel's eyes widened in disbelief at Ronan's unexpected action. Instantly, Ronan landed right in front of Asel, who watched in astonishment as Ronan effortlessly sliced through his mana. Asel clenched his hands into fists and inquired about Ronan's recent actions. Ronan casually remarked that it was nothing extraordinary, just a little trick he had always been able to pull off. Asel, amazed, continued to express his astonishment, noting that he had never heard of anyone cutting through mana before. Before he could finish his sentence, Ronan gently tapped Asel's head, advising him to forget about it. Ronan himself remained unsure of the exact mechanics behind his ability. Ronan sheathed his sword, pondering that uncovering more about this ability would become another mission for him. He speculated that this newfound capability might be the reason his sword alone could bring down the giants. Pushing that thought aside for the moment, Ronan decided to deal with it later. There were more pressing matters at hand. Grabbing the strap of his bag, he confirmed that Asel had passed the test. Ronan tossed one of the empty bags to Asel, urging him to follow along. He emphasized that they had work to do before the moon descended. Bathed in the bright moonlight, Ronan smiled at Asel, remarking that this moment marked the beginning of the tale of Ronan, a chapter that would etch itself into the Empire's grand history for eternity. Under the bright moonlight filtering through the forest canopy, Asel and Ronan proceeded on their path. As they walked, Asel spoke up from behind Ronan. "The Filion Academy," he said. Asel found himself questioning if he had misheard Ronan, so he asked again, "Did you say we're heading to Filion? The academy that exclusively accepts the Empire's most elite warriors? And you're bringing me along?" Ronan glanced back at Asel with his right eye and affirmed that Asel had heard correctly, though he noted that the barrage of questions was starting to wear on him. Asel eventually caught up with Ronan. Now fixing his gaze on Asel, Ronan asked if Asel didn't want to go to Filion. Asel responded, acknowledging Ronan's prowess as a gifted fighter and expressing confidence in his abilities. However, he confessed that he didn't excel at anything himself, nervously fidgeting his fingers. He added that he considered himself a coward and timid. With one of Ronan's eyes partially obscured by the strands of his hair, he questioned whether Asel desired to continue living his life in such a manner. Asel's eyes widened at Ronan's pointed remark. Ronan continued, suggesting that wasting his innate talent on dealing with insignificant street thugs was not the life Asel truly wanted to lead. Ronan pressed on, acknowledging that he himself had much ground to cover in various aspects. He concurred with Asel's assessment of himself as cowardly and timid, even admitting to being overly emotional and easily brought to tears. To add, Ronan described him as a wimp, afraid even of his own shadow. Asel felt Ronan's words like a sharp blow to his chest. Yet amidst it all, Ronan assured Asel that these shortcomings were inconsequential in the grand scheme, as Asel had the power to change them in due time. However, one thing Asel couldn't alter was the time he squandered. Ronan emphasized that if Asel didn't address those issues, he would inevitably come to regret it someday, just as Ronan himself did, staring pointedly at Asel. Ronan reflected on his own past, plagued by regret over decisions made while standing alone. Patting Asel's shoulder, Ronan inquired if Asel was beginning to reconsider. Asel, taken aback by Ronan's words, blushed, finding it hard to believe that someone as formidable as Ronan would show such concern for him. Overwhelmed, Asel covered his mouth with both hands, deeply moved by Ronan's sentiments. Ronan reiterated that he wouldn't compel Asel to accompany him. Recognizing that it was Asel's life and he had the freedom to return if he so desired, Ronan began walking forward, turning his back on Asel. However, Asel waved his hands and called out to Ronan, expressing his desire for change and his willingness to go to Filion with him. Asel just needed guidance on what steps to take. A mischievous smile spread across Ronan's face in response. Turning to face Asel, Ronan expressed satisfaction with Asel's comment, noting his apparent growth. Ronan proposed they commence with Asel's first challenge immediately. Asel stood upright, resembling a soldier prepared to heed Ronan's command. A menacing smile crept across Ronan's face. He knew his persuasive words had worked their magic. As they reached their destination, the crackling of fire filled the air. A shiver ran down Asel's spine as he beheld what lay before him. Peering from behind a bush, he voiced his uncertainty, asking if this was his first challenge. Ronan nodded affirmatively. This was the perfect opponent to provide Asel's skills with an immediate test, a lunar goblin. And not just one, but an entire group of them. With a playful smile, Ronan quizzed Asel, suggesting that this task should be a walk in the park for him. He rested his right hand lightly on Asel's shoulder, conveying confidence. However, with a serious gaze, Ronan urged Asel to begin, his stare carrying a silent but urgent command. Lunar goblins, a breed of goblin mutants indigenous to these lands, sport yellowish skin and grotesque bodies, setting them apart from their ordinary kin. However, what truly distinguishes lunar goblins is their insatiable obsession with treasure. Without the slightest hesitation, lunar goblins ambush merchants, plundering their valuable possessions. Once they've amassed their loot, they convene for a celebration. However, these gatherings only occur on nights like this, when the moon is full. Trembling, Asel brought his hand to his mouth, realizing the purpose of their visit tonight, to pilfer all the treasure from the lunar goblins. Observing a lunar goblin sleeping against a rock, Asel was taken aback upon hearing about the goblin's thieving and celebratory habits, finding it unusual. He questioned how Ronan had managed to uncover this information. Ronan casually opened the flap of his bag and replied that he had heard about it from somewhere. However, he knew he couldn't reveal to Asel that he had seen them during his travels in his previous life. With a mischievous smile, Ronan gently squeezed Asel's shoulder, suggesting that all he had to do was use telekinesis to move the goblin's treasure while they slept and place it in the bag Ronan was holding. Asel shifted his gaze towards the bag, expressing his doubts. He acknowledged that it wasn't an easy task. Lacking confidence in his abilities, he worried about the potential consequences of making a mistake. If the goblins were to wake up, it would undoubtedly put them in danger. Asel pleaded with Ronan, expressing his reluctance to utilize his telekinetic ability due to the perceived risk. He suggested they brainstorm alternative approaches. Ronan locked eyes with Asel and disparagingly labeled him a coward. Ronan gestured with 2 fingers towards Asel, emphasizing the 2 crucial elements they needed to address immediately if they were to attend Filion Academy. The first was money. as the tuition fees at Philion were exorbitantly high. However, the second requirement, real combat experience, was even more critical. Ronan elaborated, explaining that Philion was populated by warriors from aristocratic backgrounds who had received elite education since birth. If Asel aimed to compete with individuals of that caliber, there was only one recourse. He would need to endanger his life to amass genuine combat experience. That's why targeting those goblins was so ideal. They offered both the opportunity for wealth and valuable experience. It was akin to hitting two birds with one stone, Ronan explained, his gaze fixed on the lunar goblin concealed behind the bush. Ronan then asked Asel whether his idea seemed reasonable or not. Asel, conceding defeat, agreed with Ronan. Ronan then gave Asel a hearty slap on the back, urging him to get started. The moon cast its radiant glow, illuminating the dense forest's trees. Asel employed his telekinetic ability to pilfer gold necklaces, watches, rings, and coins, deftly depositing them into the bags Ronan had provided. Once the bags were filled, Ronan expressed his gratitude to Asel for his efforts. He hadn't been entirely certain if Asel could accomplish the task, so he was pleasantly surprised when everything went according to plan. Ronan felt a surge of satisfaction at having found such a useful ally. As Ronan packed up his belongings, two men could be seen chasing after a bird, shouting angrily at it. Regrettably for Ronan, a goblin stirred awake upon hearing the commotion. As it surveyed its surroundings, it quickly realized their treasures had vanished. Hastily, it roused the other goblins and conveyed the dire situation. Meanwhile, as Ronan and Asel prepared to flee, they were spotted by the goblins, who promptly launched an assault. Overwhelmed by fear, Asel collapsed to his knees. As the goblins closed in, Asel asked Ronan if they should abandon the treasure and flee. Ronan instructed him to hold on to the treasure, emphasizing its necessity for their tuition fees. Meanwhile, as the goblins approached, Ronan drew his sword to assess its weight and durability. He was aware that with the quality of his sword, he could only execute about 15 strikes before it became useless. This posed a challenge since there were 30 goblins, but Ronan remained confident that 15 strikes would suffice. As he swung his sword for the first time, he decapitated 3 goblins in a single stroke. Asel couldn't believe his eyes. Ronan dispatched the first 3 goblins with a single strike, then proceeded to attack the remaining goblins with such incredible speed that it seemed as if he vanished before his eyes. After dealing with the goblins, Ronan instructed Asel to get up as they needed to return home. As they journeyed back, Ronan felt a twinge of pain in his shoulders. He couldn't believe his muscles would ache after dispatching a few goblins, realizing it was likely due to his body still growing. Determined, he resolved to engage in rigorous physical training upon returning home. Asel inquired of Ronan who he believed caused the loud noise that awakened the goblins. Ronan admitted he didn't know, but vowed to confront and retaliate against the person if ever they crossed paths. As Ronan and Asel continued walking, an arrow was aimed at Asel. Fortunately, Ronan managed to intercept and catch the arrow. Asel was taken aback by this unexpected turn of events. As Asel pondered the origin of the arrow, he and Ronan engaged in discussion. Suddenly, the 2 men who had previously attempted to shoot Asel arrived to meet them. They offered apologies for their earlier actions and inquired about what children like them were doing there at night. Ronan bristled with anger at being referred to as a child. Upon noticing the treasures in Ronan's bag, the men expressed delight. They apologized once more to Ronan and Asel. Ronan, distrustful of their insincere apologies, demanded to know their identities. One of the men drew a knife and launched an attack on Ronan, revealing their group's name as Karibolo. Reacting swiftly, Ronan disarmed the man and retaliated by using the knife to stab him. Upon witnessing his friend's attack, the other man charged at Ronan, only to be thwarted by Asel, who employed a skill known as Invisible Hand to restrain him. Ronan expressed gratitude to Asel for intervening and proceeded to take the man's knife, using it to inflict fatal wounds. Asel, shocked by the brutality of Ronan's actions, inquired if he had killed the man. Ronan asserted his resolve to eliminate anyone who posed a threat to him, justifying his actions by explaining that the men belonged to a group responsible for numerous atrocities. They were notorious for crimes such as poaching, kidnapping, and human trafficking, earning them the title of the Empire's most notorious poaching group. Ronan informed Asel that these men intended to steal their treasures and harvest their organs. While disposing of the bodies, Ronan and Asel noticed movement in the men's bag. Upon opening it, they were surprised to find a bird nestled inside. Ronan was taken aback by the sight of the bird, especially noting its blue feathers. Upon closer inspection of the bird's legs, he discovered a chain attached to it. This chain was an unusual piece of equipment typically used by Karibolo to disrupt a prisoner's mana and constrain their movements. Ronan was astonished by this revelation, as such equipment was typically reserved for capturing mystical beasts, not ordinary prisoners. This indicated that the individual attempting to communicate had been striving to establish a connection with the bird, but the bag had been impeding the connection. The person, named Baron, identified himself as a professor researching rare mystical beasts. Baron explained that he was the guardian of the bird, named Marpe, and mentioned he had been unable to connect with Marpe for some time. He was on the verge of reporting the situation to the authorities when the connection was finally established. Baron inquired about Ronan and Asel's identities. Ronan replied that they were righteous passers-by who had rescued Marp from poachers. Baron expressed disbelief at Marp's kidnapping and expressed gratitude to Ronan for rescuing Marp. He then asked how he could repay them for their help. Asel assured Baron that repayment was unnecessary and instead inquired about Marp's well-being. Asel expressed concern that Marp appeared exhausted from being chained up. Ronan queried Baron about Marp's ability to fly once the chain was removed. Baron assured them that he would do so. Following his statement, Ronan shattered Marp's chains with a single strike and instructed Marp to return home. Upon hearing this, Marp viewed Ronan as a radiant hero and expressed his gratitude by presenting his backside to Ronan. Baron informed Ronan that Marp wished to see him again and, as a token of appreciation, requested Ronan to pluck one of Marp's feathers. Baron informed Ronan that a mystical bird like Marpi could use its feather as a compass to find its way back home. He promised to repay Ronan when he visited his institution. With that, Marp took flight and departed. Shortly after the bird's departure, Ronan noticed something on his hand. A few days later, Ronan brought the treasures he had acquired to a merchant named Duon Caravel. Duon, the leader of the Caravel Trading Company, greeted Ronan warmly upon their meeting. He expressed delight at having a customer like Ronan, who brought a wealth of valuable items. Similarly, Ronan was pleased to encounter a merchant of Duon's integrity, appreciating his honesty and fair dealings. Unlike other merchants who attempted to deceive Ronan, Duon remained forthright in his transactions. Ronan approached Duon, seeking his expertise in appraising an unusual item. Handing over the peculiar-looking egg, Ronan initially mistook it for feces and was incensed at the thought that Marp might have played such a prank on him. Fueled by frustration, he hurled the egg against a nearby boulder, only to witness the egg completely crush the rock upon impact. Intrigued and perplexed by this unexpected display of strength, Ronan sought Duon's assistance in identifying the type of egg it was. Upon examining the egg closely, Duon initially speculated that it resembled horse droppings. Ronan, taken aback by this assessment, accepted the egg from Duon and opted to retain it for further inspection later. Ronan then inquired if Duon sold books pertaining to Philion Academy, explaining their intention to apply to the institution and the need for preparatory reading material. Duon expressed his joy upon hearing this news, revealing that his own daughter, Maria, was also applying to the academy. Introducing them to Maria, Duon emphasized Ronan and Asel's importance as individuals with whom he had just concluded a business deal. Maria was taken aback by the revelation, finding it hard to believe that individuals as young as Ronan and Asel had just struck a deal with her father. Sensing the discomfort, Duon apologized to Ronan and Asel for his daughter's choice of words. Undeterred, Ronan approached Maria and inquired if her middle name was Sen. Confirming this, Maria's response left Ronan astonished, as he couldn't fathom how much she resembled someone from his past life. Ronan felt perplexed, as the Maria he remembered from his past life was male. Approaching Maria discreetly, he leaned in and quietly asked if she had a dick down there. Maria was taken aback by Ronan's question, shocked that he would ask something so personal. Reacting swiftly, she delivered a powerful slap across his face. As Ronan felt the force of the slap, a sense of familiarity washed over him, leading him to believe that only the old Maria could deliver such a blow. In his previous life, Ronan served as a disciplinary soldier at a location known as Armalan. The Maria, he remembered, held the responsibility of managing supplies at Armalan. She was generally easygoing and well-liked among her peers. However, whenever conversations turned to topics like genitals, Maria would become incensed and swiftly slap those around her. Ronan had always harbored curiosity about Maria's behavior. He longed to question Maria about the matter, but the opportunity never arose before Maria's passing. Upon learning that Maria's reactions stemmed from her identity as a girl, Ronan felt a sense of relief. However, Maria misinterpreted Ronan's reaction as laughter directed at her. Angered by what she perceived as mockery, Maria moved to strike Ronan again. This time, Ronan intercepted her attack and firmly struck her head, commanding her to refrain from hitting him again. Ronan explained that he had only permitted Maria to strike him due to his own foolish inquiry. Annoyed by his response, Maria responded by headbutting Ronan's chin. This action quickly escalated into a physical altercation between them. However, once the heat of the moment subsided, Ronan and Maria reconciled and resumed their conversation on amicable terms, appearing as if they were old friends catching up. Asel watched in astonishment at the sudden shift in their dynamic. Asel couldn't help but think they were both a little crazy. Maria presented a sword known as the Black Iron Sword, boasting about its remarkable quality that even knights coveted. Ronan expressed his concern, stating that he fought in a rough manner and required a sword that wouldn't easily break. However, Maria reassured him that the Black Iron Sword was precisely what he needed, insisting it was the best choice for him. Ronan felt a surge of joy as he received the sword, recognizing it as the same one he wielded in his past life. After handing over the weapon, Maria turned to Asel and inquired about the type of magic he utilized. Asel explained that he utilized telekinesis. Maria was taken aback by this revelation and informed Asel that if he performed admirably on his test, he could potentially earn a scholarship. Asel was overjoyed upon hearing Maria's encouraging words. Maria felt confident that Asel would excel and decided to shift her focus to Ronan. She inquired about the technique he planned to showcase to the judges on the day of the test, emphasizing the importance of impressing them with a remarkable display if he wished to gain admission to Philion Academy. The school also administers a written exam, known for its difficulty, though it pales in comparison to the practical test. The practical examination holds immense significance. Performing well in it could secure entry into the academy, even for those with lower scores on the written test. Ronan sought Maria's guidance on the technique he should showcase. Maria explained that noble applicants often showcase their family's guarded techniques, while regular martial arts candidates typically present their unique mana fighting styles. Ronan, taken aback by this revelation, inquired whether it was feasible for martial artists to utilize mana despite not being mages. Maria was taken aback by Ronan's question. She explained that individuals aspiring to join Philion Academy were expected to possess the ability to sense and utilize their own mana in combat. She assumed this was common knowledge, so she was surprised by Ronan's reaction, as he appeared to regard her explanation incredulously. Ronan inquired whether sensing mana resembled detecting aura, leaving Maria astonished by his question. She found it difficult to believe that Ronan, with his apparent lack of knowledge, aspired to enter Philion Academy. Ronan reassured her, suggesting that he might already possess some understanding of the concept. Maria, determined to help him, invited Ronan outside, taking 2 short swords that belonged to him. Despite Ronan's reluctance to risk damaging the swords, Maria insisted, promising to compensate him 3-fold if any harm befell them. Urging Ronan to rise and join her immediately, she expressed her intention to provide him with specialized training. Mana serves as the essence of natural power, a pervasive energy inherent in the world. However, not everyone possesses the ability to harness it. To utilize mana effectively, individuals must first develop the capacity to sense and connect with their own inner energy through mana sense. This process requires undergoing diverse training regimens aimed at fostering self-awareness and understanding. Typically, it requires around a year for an ordinary individual to develop mana sense. Following the mastery of mana techniques through dedicated practice, they then seek admission to Philion Academy. Maria conveyed to Ronan that his inability to differentiate between aura and mana indicated he wasn't quite prepared for enrollment at Philion Academy. Maria explained to Ronan that aura is a subtype of mana, and even individuals with considerable talent in mana manipulation typically spend a minimum of 10 years honing their skills to access aura. Ronan recalled encountering individuals capable of utilizing aura on the battlefield. While they often boasted about their abilities and wielded extraordinary powers, Ronan remained indifferent, as many of them ultimately met their demise. Maria abruptly ceased her explanation and swiftly drew her sword, launching an attack against Ronan. Ronan swiftly defended himself, taken aback by her formidable strength. He marveled at her proficiency and adeptness in wielding dual blades. Though he couldn't discern if she was employing mana, he sensed its utilization in their duel. Maria found herself impressed by Ronan's prowess. Initially, her intention was to swiftly defeat Ronan in a single round, thereby showcasing the utility of mana and prompting him to abandon the test voluntarily. Her aim was to spare Ronan the potential humiliation at the academy. However, to her astonishment, Ronan displayed a level of strength far surpassing her expectations. Maria was incredulous that Ronan lacked proficiency in mana manipulation. Lost in contemplation, she was caught off guard as Ronan swiftly employed his sword to create distance between them. Assuming a lethal stance, Ronan instructed her to evade his strike. Thankfully, Maria heeded Ronan's warning and managed to dodge the impending attack. Having skillfully evaded Ronan's attack, Maria remarked that Ronan was far from ordinary. In response, Ronan acknowledged Maria's proficiency, noting her talent with the blades. However, he pointed out a flaw in her balance, suggesting that refining this aspect would greatly enhance her abilities. He assured her that addressing this issue would lead to significant improvement. Having imparted his advice, Ronan sheathed his sword and pivoted away, much to Maria's chagrin. She insisted that the fight was far from concluded and urged him to press on. Ronan, however, reminded her of their agreement to triple his funds. Instantly, Maria's dual blades shattered, leaving her in a state of utter disbelief. Asel reassured her, expressing his lack of surprise at Ronan's victory. Following their departure, Maria was left reeling from the encounter, convinced that Ronan transcended mere humanity. The following day, she presented Ronan and Asel with books and materials, painstakingly summarized by herself. When Ronan inquired about their purpose, Maria explained their significance. Maria was taken aback by Ronan's reaction. She clarified that the books were essential for their upcoming test in just a month's time. Ronan's skepticism flared, questioning if she was trying to overcharge them. Maria quickly reassured him, expressing her fondness for them and her sincere desire for their success at Philion Academy. Upon hearing that the books were complimentary, Ronan sheathed his sword. Maria expressed her regret that she couldn't personally tutor them due to their group relocating. However, she encouraged them to dedicate themselves to their studies and promised to reunite at the academy. Ronan assured her they would do their best, urging her to take care of herself as well. As Maria boarded the carriage, she reminded them to safeguard the books until they met again on test day. Once she departed, Ronan became aware of the soreness in his body from the intense sparring session. Recognizing the urgency of strengthening his weakened physique, he found amusement in the irony of needing to study and train rigorously to gain entry into an academy. Despite the oddity of his circumstances, he harbored no resentment towards it. Upon Ronan's return home, his routine took a drastic turn. He consumed ample food and engaged in constant monster hunts to acclimate to his body and enhance his stamina. Over time, he managed to eliminate all the monsters in the village. During the nights, Ronan dedicated himself to diligent study, a practice he never envisioned undertaking in his past life. As the month drew to a close, Ronan adhered to his routine diligently until the day of the test arrived. Asel was awestruck at the sight of Philion Academy, its grandeur akin to a miniature city. Ronan, noticing Asel's stunned expression, quipped for him to cease his gawking, lest he resemble a rustic. Just as Asel was about to apologize, he caught sight of something peculiar about Ronan. Noticing Ronan's changed physique, Acel remarked on how much larger he appeared in just a month. Ronan brushed off the observation, urging Acel to direct his attention to more pertinent matters, like the impending test. As they walked, Ronan's thoughts turned to the significance of the occasion, realizing that the renowned sword Saint Schlieffen, the Empire's mightiest warrior, would also be participating in the test. Ronan anticipated encountering Schlieffen during the test, given their similar ages and Schlieffen's representation of the esteemed Grantia swordsmanship clan. Lost in thought, he was interrupted by Acel's inquiry about the feather from the dream bird. Ronan produced the feather, remembering that Baron's institution was located in the capital. As Ronan unveiled the feather, he observed its direction, pointing toward a towering structure within Filion Academy. At the pinnacle of this edifice, Marps and Baron, the Academy's zoology professor, were busy rearranging Baron's office to welcome Ronan. Notably, Baron was a werelion. Feeling the need for fresh air, Baron opted to open the window. As soon as he opened the window, he was met with Ronan's eerie countenance. Startled, both he and Marps let out a scream at the unexpected sight. Baron inquired how Ronan managed to reach his window, given that his office was situated on the top floor. He questioned whether they were after Marps. In response, Ronan presented the feather as evidence. Surprised, Baron recognized them as the individuals who rescued the bird. Baron apologized for his reaction, and Ronan assured him it wasn't an issue. He jokingly blamed Acel for their unconventional entrance, much to Acel's surprise. Acel explained that Ronan had claimed to be too tired for the stairs and asked him to use telekinesis to lift him up, hence their window entry. Ronan quickly covered Acel's mouth to prevent him from spilling the truth. He expressed his surprise at learning that Baron was both a werelion and a professor at Filion Academy. In turn, Baron admitted his astonishment at discovering that Ronan and Acel were applicants to the Academy. He regretted not knowing earlier, as he could have provided them with a recommendation letter, potentially exempting them from the test. Ronan reassured Baron, telling him not to be concerned about them. Then, he presented the egg laid by Marps. Baron's surprise was evident upon seeing it. When Ronan questioned his reaction, Baron explained that an egg laid by a dream bird holds significance beyond that of a typical egg. Baron confessed his uncertainty regarding what creature would hatch from the egg. Ronan found this revelation surprising. Baron elucidated that the environment in which the dream bird resides influences the egg's development. For instance, in a volcanic region, a phoenix might emerge, while in a monster's den, the hatched bird could resemble the local creatures. In some cases, the resultant creature might not even resemble a bird at all. Baron explained that by analyzing the manner of the dream bird, he could make an educated guess about the creature that would hatch from the egg. However, he admitted that at the moment, he couldn't definitively determine its nature. Ronan felt a pang of annoyance at the complexity of the situation. He found it incredulous that an egg could cause such stress. He pondered over the environment Marps had been in to lay such an enigmatic egg. Baron entrusted Ronan with the care of the egg, emphasizing its preciousness. Ronan hesitated, considering the responsibility, but Baron assured him that a dream bird lays an egg only once in its lifetime. The significance of Marp's choice to lay it in front of Ronan hinted at something special between them. Intrigued by the mystery, Ronan agreed to take on the task, eager to witness the creature that would emerge from the egg. Ronan and Acel prepared to depart for their test, but Baron halted them, presenting a map to aid in caring for the egg. Grateful for the assistance, they accepted it and hurried to their examination venue. The main hall of Fort Galerian Castle bustled with martial arts applicants awaiting their turn. An attendant emerged, summoning applicant 112 to enter the test room. As Ronan observed the queue, he noted that he would be next after applicant 112, feeling a sense of fatigue from the wait. Maria, seated beside him, reassured him that such waits were customary for all tests. Curious, Ronan inquired about Maria's attire, to which she explained that Filion Academy was attended by nobles, and she wished to make a favorable impression on potential future customers. As applicant 112 emerged from the room, Ronan, now applicant 113, was summoned inside. Maria offered him words of encouragement, urging him not to be nervous and to give his best effort. Ronan reassured her, expressing confidence that everything would be fine. Stepping into the room, he was taken aback by the presence of the professors, each emanating an aura of extraordinariness. Among them, the figure of the Academy's headmaster and archmage, Kravar Kratia, stood out prominently. Ronan was equally struck by the formidable presence exuded by the swordsmanship instructor, a woman known as Naviros, revered as the Grand Sword Saint. Upon introducing himself, he was promptly instructed to engage in combat with a magically engineered dummy. When questioned about the technique he intended to demonstrate, Ronan simply replied that he would employ a swift cut. The professors were taken aback by Ronan's decision to execute a basic cut without utilizing any mana. They questioned his strategy, deeming it foolish, as the dummy boasted formidable defensive capabilities capable of withstanding attacks from even skilled aura users. Moreover, its rapid regeneration further compounded the challenge. The professors considered Ronan's approach naive, given that even Schlieffen struggled to inflict damage upon the dummy. Kravar was dismayed by the professors' disrespectful attitude towards Ronan, but he chose to disregard their behavior. Instead, he focused on Ronan, astonished by the young man's remarkable vitality. As Ronan drew his sword and swiftly struck the dummy, Kravar was taken aback by his display of skill and agility. Naviros, too, found herself surprised by Ronan's proficiency. However, despite Ronan's successful attack, the professors ridiculed him. The professors were incredulous at Ronan's decision to demonstrate only a single cut. One of them turned to Kravar to inquire about how to grade Ronan, but Kravar was too absorbed in observing Ronan's performance to respond. While Kravar's attention was fixed on Ronan, Naviros seized her sword and launched an attack. She questioned Ronan about the origin of his swordsmanship. Ronan replied that he couldn't provide an answer to her initial question. Undeterred, Naviros rephrased her inquiry. She inquired if Ronan had observed her attack. Ronan confirmed, describing her rapid unsheathing and 3 successive swings despite the distance between them. Naviros explained that her 3 swings were meant to highlight the arrogance she perceived in Ronan's swift cut. Naviros expressed her frustration, noting that she had observed Ronan deliberately slowing down his attack to ensure the professors could fully perceive his actions. She found this disrespectful to their expertise. Meanwhile, the other professors were unable to discern if Ronan had indeed slowed his strike, leaving them perplexed. Ronan was taken aback by Naviros's accusation. Ronan hesitated to clarify his intention, unsure if it would only exacerbate Naviros's anger. However, after she calmed down, she sheathed her sword and unexpectedly offered to mentor Ronan herself. Kravar was astonished by Naviros's swift decision to take Ronan under her wing. Kravar expressed his gratitude for Ronan's demonstration and inquired about his motivation for applying to their academy. Reflecting on his past experiences, Ronan expressed his desire to pursue his aspirations without any regrets. Kravar was taken aback by Ronan's response and requested him to step out after hearing his answer, clearly surprised by his sincerity. Kravar expressed his eagerness to mentor Ronan, citing the young man's evident talent. This declaration surprised one of the professors, who questioned what made Ronan special. Kravar simply stated that Ronan possessed innate talent. Suddenly, the magically engineered dummy, previously boasting rapid regeneration, lost its head. The 2 professors who had earlier mocked Ronan were stunned by this unexpected display of skill. Leaving the room, Ronan pondered whether he could have surpassed Naviros in his previous life. He realized the need for intensive training to match her skill. Despite this, he felt optimistic about his decision to attend Filion Academy, recognizing the opportunity for growth it presented. As the practical test concluded, candidates prepared for the theory exam. Despite a month of preparation, Ronan found the theory exam unexpectedly challenging. Emerging from the test center, he trembled with anxiety. Maria was astounded to learn that Ronan struggled to answer even half of the questions, especially considering she had urged him to study the books she provided. Asel informed Maria that Ronan had forgotten to review the books and materials she provided. Maria reassured Ronan, expressing confidence in his performance during the practical test and his potential acceptance into the academy. Suddenly, a blue tablet materialized in their vicinity, displaying the students' results. Asel claimed the top spot in the theory exam and secured the 12th position in the practical exam for the magic department. Maria achieved the 9th rank in both the theory and practical exams for the martial arts department. Upon discovering their results, Asel and Maria erupted in celebration. Maria expressed her surprise and congratulated Asel for clinching the first position in the theory exam. Amid their jubilation, Maria inquired about Ronan's results. To her surprise, Ronan revealed that his name wasn't on the list. Disbelief clouded Maria's expression as she urged Ronan to cease his jest. Just as Ronan's hope began to wane, a sudden explosion rattled the vicinity. Turning to investigate, they beheld the source, a magnificent phoenix known as the Glory Phoenix. The majestic phoenix, known for heralding the salutatorian of each department, unleashed a fiery projectile toward Ronan. As the fiery orb neared him, it unveiled his standings. First place in the practical exam and an unexpected 5,112th position in the theory exam. This surprising revelation declared Ronan the salutatorian of the martial arts department. Asel and Maria erupted in joy at Ronan's unexpected achievement. Despite his lower rank in the theory exam, Ronan couldn't contain his happiness. Maria, however, couldn't fathom how he became salutatorian with his theory exam position. Amidst their celebration, Ronan pondered the implications of his first-place finish in the practical exam, realizing he must have surpassed someone significant to claim the top spot. As Ronan glanced behind him, he noticed a boy approaching, disbelief etched on his face. This boy was none other than Schlieffen, the one expected to claim the top spot in the practical exam had Ronan not intervened. Schlieffen, renowned as the Sword Saint, stood before him. Ronan was taken aback by Schlieffen's presence. Maria speculated that Schlieffen sought to converse with Ronan, but Ronan harbored doubts about Schlieffen's intentions. He was irked by Schlieffen's presence, aware of the trouble he could stir. In Ronan's previous existence, Schlieffen harbored a disdain for anyone surpassing him in swordsmanship. Ronan understood the importance of evading Schlieffen's attention. He feigned surprise, claiming he was equally astonished by his top ranking in the practical exam. But Schlieffen remained skeptical, accusing Ronan of falsehoods. Ronan staunchly defended his honesty, challenging Schlieffen to provide evidence to the contrary. Ronan sternly requested Schlieffen to leave him be. Ignoring Ronan's plea, Schlieffen opted for aggression to substantiate his doubts. Initiating an attack, he aimed to force Ronan into defense. Much to the surprise of onlookers like Asel and Maria, Ronan adeptly parried Schlieffen's assault. Schlieffen, acknowledging Ronan's skill, conceded that such a defense was beyond someone not ranked first in the practical exam. Annoyed by Schlieffen's skepticism, Ronan decided to demonstrate his prowess. With a serious demeanor, he launched a fierce attack, executing 3 slashes in rapid succession. Although Schlieffen managed to block Ronan's assault, his hand began to tremble afterward. Despite acknowledging Ronan's impressive technique, Schlieffen remained doubtful that it was sufficient to defeat him. Schlieffen relentlessly pressed his assault, urging Ronan to unleash his full capabilities. Ronan, growing increasingly frustrated, found Schlieffen's intensity unfathomable. Despite Schlieffen's insistence that he couldn't accept the exam results, Ronan deftly parried each blow with strength and determination. As Ronan defended against the onslaught, a sense of dread crept over him, realizing the dire potential consequences of the escalating confrontation. He feared that Schlieffen might soon tap into his formidable aura, the Tempest Sword, a force he remembered well from his previous life, a power of unparalleled strength and ferocity. As the gravity of the situation dawned on him, Ronan abruptly halted his defense and opted to flee. Schlieffen, taken aback by this unexpected turn, admonished Ronan for such a cardinal error in combat, never turning one's back on an adversary. Determined, Schlieffen pursued Ronan relentlessly. However, when he moved to strike, Ronan swiftly interposed Asel as a shield, catching Schlieffen off guard with this unexpected maneuver. Schlieffen berated Ronan for his perceived cowardice, accusing him of hiding behind a woman. However, Asel corrected him, asserting his gender. Aware of Schlieffen's chivalrous demeanor, Ronan seized the opportunity to strike, thrusting his sword toward Schlieffen's nose from behind Asel's cover. The unexpected attack caught Schlieffen off guard, causing him considerable pain. Ronan swiftly instructed Marya and Asel to flee, urging them to escape while they had the chance. Schlieffen made an attempt to intercept them, but they had already distanced themselves from him. As they departed, an academy instructor arrived, taken aback to find Schlieffen leaning on his sword, nursing an injured nose. Addressing Schlieffen respectfully as Sir Schlieffen, the instructor appeared surprised by the scene before him. The instructor inquired about the students responsible for Schlieffen's injuries. However, Schlieffen insisted on informal address, stating that as an applicant, he should be treated as any commoner. He assured the instructor not to worry, emphasizing that the altercation had been a fair bout. As he rose to his feet and regained his composure, Schlieffen observed that his sword had sustained a crack. The sight of his mithril sword cracking surprised Schlieffen immensely. He couldn't fathom how such a sturdy weapon had been damaged, especially considering he didn't regard Ronan's techniques as particularly extraordinary. Perplexed by the turn of events, Schlieffen resolved to remember Ronan, realizing there was more to him than met the eye. The next day, Ronan and Asel ventured into Shimo Forest on the outskirts of the capital. Asel expressed concern about their safety, given Schlieffen's status as the scion of a powerful ducal family, second only to the imperial family. Ronan assured Asel that despite Schlieffen's sword obsession, he believed him to be fundamentally decent. In Ronan's past life, Schlieffen was revered as a paragon, known for his defense of the vulnerable. Ronan viewed him as the epitome of nobility. Ronan speculated to Asel that Schlieffen likely portrayed their encounter as equitable because, had he desired retribution, they would have faced consequences by now. After a thorough search, Ronan and Azela located the spot indicated on the map. This location is Panado Pond, renowned for its mana vein. For reasons yet unknown, mana from across the world converges here, coalescing into a pool known as a mana vein. Surrounding matter absorbs mana from this source, transforming ordinary rocks into premium mana stones and mundane plants into extraordinary herbs. Ronan understood the immense value of a mana vein, knowing many would seek to monopolize it. Yet, Baron had entrusted it to them freely for the eggs hatching. Turning to Asel, Ronan inquired about the atmosphere. Asel confirmed the unusual sensation, expressing how the abundance of mana allowed for significantly more potent spellcasting. Observing the mana vein, Asel remarked on the egg's absorption of the abundant mana. Curious, he asked Ronan if he sensed anything unusual about the area. Ronan inquired further, and Asel recalled Baron's mention of the mana vein, attracting a diverse array of fantastical creatures, even ordinary animals finding it an ideal nesting ground. Asel queried Ronan about any animal noises he might hear. Ronan's senses sharpened as he realized his mistake. Rising to his feet, he cautioned Asel to prepare for combat, citing the scent of blood in the air. Puzzled, Asel sought clarification, prompting Ronan to explain that the presence of blood indicated others had visited the area before them and were now aware of their presence. If you guys want to see the next part, then don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Upon Ronan's warning, a band of masked men emerged from the forest, launching arrows toward Ronan and Asel. Swiftly, Ronan intercepted and shattered the projectiles. Upon closer inspection of the arrowheads, recognition struck him like a bolt from the blue. They bore a familiar mark he had encountered in his past life. Recollections flooded his mind as he recalled a similar scene around a campfire among his comrades in the punitive force. As the soldiers gathered around the campfire, one of them proudly displayed an arrow, boasting of its potency against formidable foes like orcs. Offering it to Ronan, their captain, the soldier extolled its virtues. Ronan, however, cut him short, reminding him of his past misdeeds, using such arrows for poaching. The soldier insisted that the arrow was no ordinary projectile, reserved for the elite poachers under the employ of the Caribolo organization. Ronan's frustration grew upon learning that their assailants were affiliated with Caribolo, a notorious group known for its illicit activities. After halting the assault, Ronan instructed Asel to find a safe hiding spot, explaining that he needed to address the situation alone. With resolve, he dashed toward the source of the attack. The Caribolo's hunting dogs were stunned as Ronan swiftly disarmed them, effortlessly neutralizing their mana-infused arrows with his blade. As Ronan charged at them, one of the hunting dogs swiftly ordered the others to disperse and encircle him. Ronan was taken aback by the agility of their response, recognizing that this hunting dog was unlike the others he encountered. Realizing he needed a strategy to apprehend them all, Ronan quickly began formulating a plan. Just as the hunting dogs were preparing to disperse, Ronan halted them by claiming to be an ally. Identifying himself as the youngest hunting dog from the Damas branch named Ahayute, he sought to gain their trust. Initially skeptical, the hunting dogs gathered around Ronan, questioning his identity. One of them, not wearing a mask, expressed doubt, challenging Ronan's assertion. Disregarding Ronan's claim, the hunting dog questioned the logic behind someone as young as Ronan joining their ranks. In response, Ronan suggested verifying his statement with the branch wolf. He admonished the hunting dog, emphasizing that lack of talent in one individual did not preclude others from possessing it. As the tension escalated, the hunting dog clenched Ronan's shirt, threatening to dismember him. Unperturbed, Ronan warned him of the inevitable downfall awaiting individuals like him. Amidst the confrontation, one of the hunting dog's comrades intervened, advising him to desist from assaulting Ronan. They reasoned that since Ronan displayed knowledge of their organization's hierarchy and branches, it would be prudent to await confirmation from their leader regarding Ronan's affiliation. As soon as the hunting dog made this statement, their leader emerged from the forest. Known as Veum, he held authority as the wolf of the Demir branch. Witnessing Veum's arrival, the hunting dog ceased his confrontation with Ronan and hastened to apprise Veum of the situation. Ronan welcomed Veum's presence, understanding that with their leader present, all the hunting dogs in the vicinity were likely assembled there. Veum expressed his surprise at Ronan's presence in their territory, asserting that this section of the forest belonged to their branch. In response, Ronan disavowed the identity of Ahayute, signaling his disregard for their hierarchy. This revelation stunned Veum. Without hesitation, Ronan swiftly dispatched all the hunting dogs surrounding him with a single stroke of his sword. Ronan charged towards Veum, condemning the name Ahayute as fitting for a poacher. With swift determination, he severed Veum's head from his body. Turning to the unmasked hunting dog, Ronan reiterated his warning about the fate of individuals like him. As he spoke, the man's fingers began to fall off. The man shrieked in agony, but Ronan dismissed his cries as mere theatrics. Offering a way out, Ronan handed him the map provided by Varan. With a firm ultimatum, he instructed the man to reveal the locations of other Caribolo branches on the map's reverse side if he wished to avoid further torment. Faced with this demand, the man's panic was palpable. Sensing his reluctance, Ronan prepared to end his suffering once and for all. The man reluctantly agreed, pleading for a pen to mark the map. Ronan's cold demeanor offered no mercy. He instructed the man to use his own bloodied fingers for the task. Once the map was marked, Ronan examined it with gratitude. However, when the man presumed his release, Ronan shattered his hopes. With chilling finality, he informed the man that freedom was never on the table. With a swift stroke of his sword, he cleaved the man in two, sealing his fate. When Asel saw the dead animals, he felt sick and threw up. Ronan told him to calm down and stop worrying. Asel said sorry for getting sick and mentioned how many animals Caribolo killed. Ronan said it's wrong to let Caribolo's people live. Looking at the dead animals, Ronan thought about how sad Professor Baron would be if he saw this. He decided to go back to the capital. He saw the egg in his bag shaking. Ronan wanted Asel to check it out, but Asel was busy. Instead, Asel told Ronan to look up. Ronan did, and saw the blood from the dead animals floating in the air. It gathered and headed towards them. Ronan drew his sword and attacked the blood. Just as he was about to strike, Ronan noticed his egg floating in the air. It drifted towards the pool of blood and started soaking it up. Asel questioned Ronan about what was going on, but Ronan admitted he didn't have a clue, though he was certain whatever was inside the egg wasn't normal. After sucking up all the blood, the egg began to crack open, much to Ronan's delight. Eager to discover the creature within, Ronan eagerly awaited its emergence. As soon as it hatched, however, it lunged at Ronan's nose, startling him. Upon inspecting the newly hatched creature, Ronan was certain it wasn't a bird. Asel suggested it resembled a dragon, a notion Ronan found himself agreeing with. Ronan pondered where Marpis had absorbed mana from to lay such a unique egg. He then scolded the dragon for attacking his face on their first meeting. Surprisingly, the dragon used magic to heal Ronan's nose upon hearing his words. Asel was amazed that a baby dragon could wield healing magic, and seemed to have taken a liking to Ronan. Ronan felt delighted to have a creature with diverse abilities. As they pondered on naming the dragon, it suddenly sensed something nearby and darted towards it. Asel questioned where the dragon was headed. Ronan marveled at its ability to detect someone's presence nearby. In another part of the forest, Valus, the errand boy of the Demire branch, dashed away in fear. Valus had been sent on an errand, but upon his return, he found all the hunting dogs and their leader slain. Investigating the scene, he spotted Ronan and Asel standing beside a pool of blood. Upon spotting them, he took off running. Unfortunately for him, the dragon gave chase. Valus stumbled over a stick and tumbled to the ground. As the dragon closed in, it started draining his blood. Valus let out a scream, but thankfully, Ronan intervened, instructing the dragon, now named Sita, to cease its attack. Asel expressed surprise at Ronan naming the dragon Sita. Ronan explained that the name had been in his mind beforehand, and fortunately, the dragon seemed to approve. Valus recalled seeing Ronan near the blood, wondering if Ronan was Sita's owner. Ronan checked on Valus, who expressed gratitude for being saved. Valus inquired how Ronan knew his name. Ronan held his sword at Valus's neck, suggesting it was unnecessary information. He then questioned Valus about his activities, referring to him as a Bloodhound. Valus was taken aback, as he considered himself merely an errand boy, not a poacher. Ronan recalled that Valus had the potential to become a Bloodhound in the organization, as he had served under Ronan's command before. Ronan then tasked Valus with a request, indicating he had something in mind for him to do. Once Ronan finished talking with Valus, he collected water from Panado Spring into a tube. Asel was shocked by this. He didn't understand why Ronan was doing it. When they got to the capital, Ronan sold the water to Maria's father for a lot of money. Ronan knew it would sell well because it came from a special source. Ronan thought they wouldn't have gotten so much money without Professor Baron's help. He and Asel wanted to visit him, but when they got to his door, they saw a sign saying he was away on a business trip. Ronan felt disappointed. Ronan wanted Professor Baron to meet Sita because he knew Baron was curious about the egg's contents. Ronan felt thankful to Baron because he got a map of Carabolo's branches and reunited with a fellow soldier, thanks to him. Ronan intimidated Valus to ensure he wouldn't betray him. Asel wondered why Ronan needed money since his school fees were waived due to his high ranking. Ronan pondered how to use the money, realizing the entrance ceremony was approaching. A few days later, Iril reached the capital's carriage station. She was amazed by the city's beauty. Upon arrival, she found Ronan waiting for her. Ronan inquired if anything had occurred since he departed. Iril was taken aback by the question, expressing her concern for Ronan instead. When she woke up in the morning, Iril found a luxurious carriage waiting outside her house. The coachman informed her that he was instructed by Ronan to take her to the city. Iril questioned how Ronan managed to afford such a thing, since he didn't have any money. Concerned, she held Ronan's face and asked if he wasn't eating properly. Ronan reassured her not to worry about him, saying that he was eating well. This calmed Iril down. She then noticed something on Ronan's shoulder, and he introduced her to Sita. Ronan explained that Sita would be staying with him for a while. Then, he took Iril's hand and shared that he didn't have much time left before entering the academy. Ronan expressed that there was something he really wanted to do. Then he took Iril to a clothing store. As Iril tried on dresses, she expressed concern about the expense. However, Ronan instructed the store attendants to pack all the clothes she tried on. Iril was surprised because she had tried on a lot of clothes. Ronan told Iril that it was time for her to receive from him, which made Iril very happy. She expressed her joy loudly, praising her kind little brother. Ronan tried to calm her down and prevent her from going outside. Once the attendants packed Iril's clothes, Ronan said they needed to head to the blacksmith workshop to get a brand new sword for him. Ronan explained to Iril that his sword got ruined by someone reckless. As they were about to leave the clothing store, they spotted KingLeywin waiting outside. Ronan and Sita were surprised to see him there. Ronan asked how KingLeywin knew he was there, and KingLeywin replied that he came to the area to get a new sword because Ronan had ruined his former one. KingLeywin explained that he accidentally saw Ronan entering the store, so he decided to wait for him. Ronan jokingly called KingLeywin a stalker and pointed out that KingLeywin's sword was more damaged than his own. He challenged KingLeywin to see whose sword was more defective. When KingLeywin heard Ronan's challenge, he was eager to fight. However, their altercation was interrupted by Iril. She scolded Ronan for his rudeness towards KingLeywin and told him not to talk back. Despite Ronan's attempts to explain, Iril insisted he stop. KingLeywin was surprised to see Ronan's older sister, and Iril apologized for Ronan's behavior. KingLeywin was captivated by Iril's beauty, seeing her as a goddess. He felt overwhelmed and unsure how to react. After composing himself, he took responsibility for the misunderstanding and apologized to Iril. Iril was pleased to meet a noble and kind-hearted person like KingLeywin. She expressed her gratitude and asked him to look after Ronan for her. KingLeywin assured Iril that he would take care of Ronan. Ronan was surprised by KingLeywin's generosity. KingLeywin explained that he wanted to make amends for Ronan's sword and offered his family's proof of identification, which could be used as currency across the empire. Ronan was taken aback by KingLeywin's gesture. KingLeywin advised Iril to visit the blacksmith at the western end of the street if she wanted to purchase a sword. He mentioned that it was a place usually restricted to commoners, but could be accessed with his family's proof of verification. KingLeywin assured them they'd find an exceptional sword there and then departed. Ronan was astonished by KingLeywin's action. The Grantia proof of verification held immense value, capable of purchasing entire villages, yet KingLeywin had handed it over to Iril. Ronan couldn't recall KingLeywin displaying such generosity before. At the entrance ceremony of the academy, Kravar welcomed the students. Kravar praised the students for their remarkable abilities and unlimited potential, assuring them that with their talents and the guidance of the professors, they would leave a lasting mark on the empire. With those words, he congratulated them on their admission to the academy. Although Ronan wasn't particularly engaged in Kravar's speech, he felt a sense of pride knowing that his sister was impressed by it. After Kravar finished his speech, he snapped his fingers, and everyone felt the magic swirling around them. Asel nudged Ronan, urging him to look up. When Ronan followed his gaze, he witnessed the sky seemingly breaking into fragments. As they gazed upward, they suddenly found themselves transported to an arena along with their fellow classmates. Ronan was astonished that Kravar could teleport such a large group of people with just a snap of his fingers. Kravar then informed the freshmen that they were about to meet their senior students. The meeting between the freshmen and the seniors is called the Senior-Junior meeting. It involves the freshmen and the second-year seniors. It's known to be intense as the top two freshmen are pitted against one of the four seniors, each with their unique fighting style. Kravar explained that the event is designed to allow students to challenge each other and understand their weaknesses better. He emphasized that it's an excellent learning opportunity. Kravar also mentioned that freshmen have the option to select their opponents and can opt out of dueling if they wish. Ronan felt frustrated hearing this, seeing the event as a means to put freshmen in their place. The opponents assigned to Ronan and KingLeywin were Nazdo, the top rank of the martial arts department, Braum, second rank, Irina, third rank, and Karun, fourth rank. Braum expressed his excitement at facing both the Empire's rising star and the one who defeated him. Ronan welcomed the chance to confront this martial artist, eager to demonstrate his strength to Iril and showcase his bond with KingLeywin. As the duel was about to start, Kravar prompted them to begin. Ronan seized the moment to make a suggestion. With Kravar's permission, Ronan proposed an unconventional idea. He wanted to take on all four seniors simultaneously. Kravar was taken aback by Ronan's bold request, and the seniors were visibly furious at the audacity of his proposal. Seeking guidance on how to handle the situation, Kravar turned to Navarose for her opinion. In response, Navarose advised Kravar to permit Ronan to proceed as he wished, emphasizing that in their school, students with talent should have the freedom to act according to their abilities. After Naviros assured Kravar that she would intervene if the duel became too perilous, Kravar agreed to allow the duel to proceed. The 4 sophomore students were incensed by Ronan's audacity. Irina interpreted Ronan's actions as arrogance, likely stemming from his second-place ranking in the martial arts department. Nazdo urged the other sophomores to remain composed, acknowledging Ronan's arrogance, but also recognizing his prowess, having bested KingLeywin in the practical exam. Nazdo instructed his companions to unleash their full strength against Ronan. Witnessing the tension in the arena, Iril couldn't contain herself and shouted at Ronan, urging him to withdraw from the match if he felt he was in danger of getting hurt. Ronan, upon hearing her concern, flashed her a reassuring smile. Once all were prepared, Ronan signaled his readiness, prompting Kravar to start the match. As soon as the match commenced, Nazdo charged at Ronan with incredible speed. Ronan swiftly evaded the attack, noticing that Nazdo and the other 3 sophomores possessed much greater strength than Maria. Following Nazdo's failed attempt, Irina lunged at Ronan with 2 short swords. Ronan managed to block Irina's assaults, but while he was focused on her, Karun seized the opportunity to strike from behind with his spear. Ronan was taken aback by their impressive teamwork. Karun's spear thrust pushed Ronan back. Just as Ronan was getting up, he spotted Braum looming behind him, wielding his massive sword high in the air. Braum and the others were taken aback by Ronan's sudden disappearance. Irina, however, noticed Ronan's incredible speed. Before she could react, Ronan launched a rapid assault on all 4 of them. Despite this, Braum managed to withstand Ronan's attack. Ronan was astonished that Braum remained determined to fight even after he had incapacitated the other sophomores. As Braum prepared to strike, Ronan assumed a stance that caught him off guard. Braum was astonished to see Ronan replicate Navaros's swordsmanship. With swift precision, Ronan executed 3 slashes akin to Navaros's demonstration during the test. In an instant, he shattered Braum's sword. After besting the sophomores, he expressed gratitude for the valuable lessons they provided. The arena erupted with shocked cheers from Iril and everyone witnessing the spectacle. Despite their defeat, the 4 sophomores were taken aback. Nazdo, in particular, harbored no grievances about his loss, pondering where someone as formidable as Ronan could have acquired his skills. As the duel concluded, Iril excitedly grabbed the man beside her, revealing that Ronan was her brother. Ronan felt relieved knowing that Iril wouldn't be concerned about him during his time at the academy. He commended his seniors for their performance, surprising Nazdo and the others with his acknowledgement. Ronan expressed his excitement about joining Filian Academy, explaining that he had exerted all his strength during the fight. He admitted that his seniors were even stronger than he had anticipated and thanked them for accepting his challenge. Asel and Maria were taken aback by Ronan's unexpected behavior, thinking he might have lost his mind. Ronan humbly asked the sophomores to overlook his earlier rudeness, expressing his desire to learn from them in the future. The seniors were unsure how to react to Ronan's request. While they pondered their response, Braun rose from his seat and commended Ronan as an outstanding junior. Despite Ronan's initial rudeness, Braun now regarded him as a respectful swordsman. He encouraged Ronan to take pride in his victory, acknowledging his skill and talent. Braun lifted Ronan's hand in the air, showing his appreciation for Ronan's performance. Ronan wanted to show his social adeptness to reassure Iril about him. Meanwhile, a mysterious girl became intrigued by Ronan while he was on stage. Later that night, all the students assembled in the dining hall for a banquet to celebrate the entrance ceremony. To Ronan's surprise, the event turned out to be a grand banquet instead of a simple dinner. Maria explained that such lavish gatherings were customary at the Empire's most prestigious school. As Maria indulged in the feast, Asel inquired whether Ronan had seen his sister off back home. Ronan confirmed that he had seen Iril off. He explained that Iril was reluctant to leave him, still concerned for his well-being. It took some effort to reassure her before she departed. Ronan entrusted Sita to accompany and safeguard her, knowing that Sita could handle any threat, be it from monsters or people. Asel was taken aback by Ronan's extensive measures to ensure his sister's safety. After chatting with Asel, Ronan sat down to eat. Just as he was about to dig into his meal, KingLeywin appeared behind him, questioning Ronan's relaxed demeanor while eating. Annoyed by his presence, Ronan inquired if he was looking for another fight. However, KingLeywin stated he had important matters to discuss. Ronan agreed to listen, and KingLeywin began by asking about the distance between Iril's home and the capital. This caught Ronan off guard. KingLeywin continued, questioning if bandits frequented the route to Iril's house and whether Ronan had taken adequate measures to ensure Iril's safety. Ronan felt uncertain how to respond to KingLeywin's inquiries. He insisted that Ronan must have ensured his sister's safety before her departure. Ronan's frustration grew as he retorted that unless a wyvern attacked, Iril would be fine. This response surprised KingLeywin, who couldn't fathom why Ronan wasn't more concerned about his sister's security, even against such unlikely threats. Ronan, in turn, found KingLeywin's fixation on his sister's safety excessive and questioned why he was making such a big deal out of it. Ronan confronted KingLeywin, questioning whether he believed he held any significance to Iril. KingLeywin visibly trembled at Ronan's inquiry, explaining that as a knight, it was his duty to ensure a woman's safe return home. As their debate intensified, a young girl accompanied by a group of boys approached them. This girl happened to be the mysterious observer from Ronan's stage appearance. She was taken aback to see KingLeywin, whom she referred to as the Wolf of Grancia, engaging in such animated conversation. KingLeywin, visibly irritated by the interruption, demanded to know what the girl wanted. Her name was Elizabeth Akaluzia, the top student in the magic department. Elizabeth clarified that she wasn't there for him but rather to speak with Ronan. Surprised by this, Ronan exchanged a puzzled glance with KingLeywin, who, now dismissive, gave Elizabeth permission to proceed, indicating that he was finished conversing with Ronan. As KingLeywin prepared to depart, he mentioned his intention to dispatch some guards from his family to safeguard Ronan's sister. Ronan bristled at the suggestion, bluntly telling KingLeywin to leave. Acel intervened, reminding Ronan of Elizabeth's performance in the senior-junior meeting. Ronan recalled how formidable she had been, noting her aggressive use of magic. Elizabeth defended her actions, claiming she merely aimed to assert dominance over her senior opponent. She praised Ronan's remarkable talent displayed in the duel, expressing her admiration. Then she made an offer to Ronan that surpassed his wildest dreams. From her pocket, she retrieved a necklace adorned with a purple pendant. Ronan was taken aback by the sight of this necklace, recognizing it as the Akaluzia's invitation.